I ended up with a lot of comments on how good my black German Shepherd Cosmo was when those other dogs were attacking. And he was really good. And I'll link to the video so you can see where that is, and you can see how good he was. But there's a reason why he's so good. It doesn't magically happen with a dog. And you'll also notice the gentleman in that video actually said, oh, dogs always get into it. Well, that's not true if they're properly trained. And obviously, those dogs are not trained whatsoever. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And it shows you exactly what that is. Now, had that been a little kid, I think that little kid would have got hurt if she was walking her little dog or something. I'm still working on that. I actually sent that video to the mayor. So we're going to see what happens. And I'm going to continue to do it until something gets changed by that, because we can't have dogs acting like that. But I digress. This video is not about that. This video is about why is Cosmo so good. It's because of what I've got on the table here. Okay? A lot of people will have just a collar. That's it. Okay? This collar is not for walking my dog. This collar is so I have a handle to grab if I need be. Okay? And it also has this here. And this is for connecting the claw collar. This is a backup. Okay? Now, this is a claw collar. And this is 90% of what's going on. Okay? No, you don't hurt your dog. You don't have to hurt your dog putting these on. This is what my dogs are walked in. It's not something where you'll see people say, well, do you ever take the claw collar off? No. When I leave the house or when I leave my truck and my dog comes out and we go for a walk, this goes on his neck. This is the brakes. This is control. And that's what matters. Now, there is a possibility that these links can come out. And if you've got this on your dog and you're hooked to this, then and this comes out, well, now you've just lost your dog and he's running. So we just can't have this, which in turn has this connected to it. And it looks like this. So literally it's two clips, right? One clip connects to the claw collar, and then one clip connects to this here. So if the claw collar was to come undone, well, this is going to hold the dog until I can get a hold of the handle and readjust and figure out what I need to do. But I'm always under control and care. Now, the other item you might have seen on my dog is this here. And they're referred to as zapper collars with this here. Now, I have two. And basically, there's a switch on this thing on the side that I can switch between either dog. Okay? And I can do, is it this one? No. This one. That noise, just that noise, my dogs will run to their cages. The other noise it makes, that's a vibration. They literally feel that vibrate on their neck. Perfectly humane. And yes, there is a shock on it with the two prongs that you can shock your dog. I think I shocked Cosmo once in his whole life. And there's another problem with these you have to be aware of. These have to be on pretty snug for these metal prongs to actually work to shock them. Now, also you have to be aware of, if you try to put these on your dog and have your dog live with it on them, they'll start to rub on your dog's neck and you'll start cutting the skin on the dog's neck. Okay, so all these items you're seeing on my table, my dogs do not wear 24/7. When my dogs are in the bunker, the only thing they have on their neck is their flea collars. That's it. They are completely free to walk around. Now, my dogs love to play. You know, they'll start playing, and sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. If I'm actually working and my dogs are playing, it gets to be a pain in the butt. So literally all I got to do is that, and both dogs will run to their cages, or one will go behind my chair, and that'll be the end of the fighting. And that'll be it. Now sometimes they get out of hand. I mean, we're talking German Shepherds here. One German Shepherd starts getting angry, starts getting pissed off at the other one. You'll hear the other one yelp, and it gets bad because one hurt the other one. So when that case happens, I have to hit that ringing like 5 or 6 times because their adrenaline is not listening to it now. They just go on and on and on. At that time, I suppose I could, if I had the collars on tight, I could shock them, but I don't do that. Okay, the collars, these collars, I have them on very loose. If I was to hit the shocker, it wouldn't work. Okay, because I have these things on loose because I don't want these metal things digging into their necks. I just like the buzzing and the the beeping sound. Now, each dog has been shocked one time. They have to be. Okay, you got to wait for them to do something wrong. Got to have them on snug. Got to zap them once, and then got to go yike, and then they know what's going on. German Shepherds are pretty smart. You don't have to do things too many times. And that was the only time I ever did it. Now, every time now that I do it, it's like, basically, it's just the sound. But you'll notice when I was walking my dog with those other dogs, I didn't even beep, I didn't use the sound, I didn't use nothing. The only thing I did to control my dog was to use the claw collar. And that's it. And I didn't choke him to death. I basically kept it snug. And then when he wasn't listening, I gave it a couple jerks to tell him to sit, nothing more. So that's my whole ensemble on how I keep my German Shepherds under control. And this is for bigger dogs, not little dogs. Now the leather thing, basically what happens here, this call collar goes up just behind the ears, okay? Then the leather collar goes on. So this is keeping this call collar separated from the noise collar, is what it's doing. And it also keeps it up around his ears. You don't want this down below his neck. You want it up around just behind the ears is where you want this. Now, financially, this starts to add up. But do you want your dog under control? You know, I went for these big leather collars. They're padded. I mean, these are comfortable. And because of the handle, they're around $40, $50. Now, I need 2 because I got 2 German Shepherds. Okay, so $100. Then you've got these, and you got all kinds of different brands, but there's one brand that is actually known for being the best. And I'll put links in the bottom. And I wouldn't go buy some Chinese knockoff with these call collars. I would make sure you buy the proper ones. Now these links do come out, so you can make this smaller, bigger. You can adjust the size by pulling links out. And this thing here I painted red, and I painted it red because it's for one dog, and the other one I have is for the other dog. But this is a clip. So you can unclip this and you can put it around your neck. Do you need this? Probably not, because when you expand this, it's huge. So you can put it through their nose and around their neck until you actually then, and you'll see how much that shrinks then. Because the catch goes up here. Okay? So this will determine what's going on. So I really didn't need that, but at the time, I didn't know that, okay? And you are going to need this because this will attach to that and then attach to the actual leather collar. So when I go out and I go for a walk, this is the equipment they wear. Now, some people would say it's inhumane to have a zapper. Well, like I said, I'm not zapping my dogs. I'm using the sound and the vibration. It's not even on tight enough to zap them. Okay, it's just simply there. Now, these come in greatness for training a dog to come to you. Okay, I have a 100-foot rope, and I have a leash on the end, and I connect it to my dog. And then I let my dog run and go do whatever he wants in an open field. I'll hit this, I'll yell his name, I'll say come. If he doesn't come right away and he keeps sniffing, that's when I do that. And then he looks. And then I look at him, call his name, and say come. And then he'll run right to me. And then I give him the sit command. Now, dogs aren't super smart to where you can spend 8 hours training them. Okay, I spend about a half an hour trying to train them one thing. Okay, and then through the day, they're constantly being trained. I'm constantly giving them commands to sit, stay, lay down, the basics just to reinforce them. So 3 hours later, I'll say come, and they'll come running over to me at my computer, and then I'll say sit, and then I'll pet them. So they literally got a reinforcement for maybe 10 seconds. But when I'm actually training them, like I was that day, it's usually about a half an hour. So it's a half an hour walk back, and we're just waiting for something to happen, like we did in that video with those dogs attacking me. That was it. But if you do watch that video, and I really think you should, you'll notice that Cosmo just, when I told him sit, and then I told him stay, and I kept the leash snug. Now, a couple times he fought me, but compared to what was happening, I mean, you had two yappy dogs, you had a bigger dog, you had, I don't know what the 5 or 6 kids screaming, kids hitting dogs. I mean, that was a chaotic situation. It really was. And it definitely put a test to Cosmo. So, but Cosmo was really good, and he handled it like a champ. But it's not because he was born that way. It's because of these devices. And it's because I put in the time to train them, is what I do. If you have a big German Shepherd, if you have a Husky, I don't care what you have, any form of big dog, okay, if you don't have this type of equipment, then you've lost. All right? Now, I would say out of all this collar, oh, it's gold. And I've had people ask me, well, do you ever take it off and walk your dog without it? No. That's his walking collar, period. That's it. And it never comes off because I want complete control. There's no reason to take it off. If he's not pulling or if he's not being a butthead, this sits on him very loose. He don't even feel those prongs. And those prongs aren't points. They're flat. The only time that tightens up around his neck is if he starts getting out of hand. And that's when he learns, oh, okay, I need to straighten up. And that's it. Nothing more. So these training aids are used all the time. And like I said, if I get the two of them fighting, I can push a button switch to whoever I want to vibrate. And then I had a vibration, and they'll run behind my chair and run away from the other one. Now, if the other one goes after him, because that happens, I switch and I vibrate him, and he goes the other way. And I can put them right away to being good, super good dogs. There's a time and a place to fight. There is a time and a place to play. And I choose when they can do that. They don't choose when they can do that. Okay? Now, some people have their dogs in houses. Mine are in a bunker. But if you had your dogs in a house and all of a sudden they decided to play in the living room and you got a glass coffee table, well, that's just a situation waiting to happen now, isn't it? To where had you basically been beeping them in the living room, they would never fight in the living room. They would now go to the kitchen or they'd go someplace else. Is where they would go. My dogs are never alone where I can't see them. Okay, they're babies. Even though they're big German Shepherds, they're still babies. For example, people have a big 3-bedroom home and they'll be in the living room watching TV and all of a sudden the dogs are in the basement fighting. That would not fly with me. I have to be able to see my dogs at all times. Anything can happen. There's been times, you just look at the clutter around here in my videos. There's been times when something fell on the floor and the dog gets it and runs around like he's proud as a peacock. And that's dangerous because now he could swallow that. And then we could have to have a surgery. So obviously he gets corrected. And they don't touch anything on my shelves. Nothing. They don't walk over and sniff them. Nothing. Now, my first, the pup, my female, Nova, she was a little bit more stubborn. But she's a pup. She's still learning. Now, Cosmo, he knows better. He's been through all this. And what I noticed it'd been a while since I took Cosmo for a good walk because during the summertime here in Tennessee, I can't walk Cosmo down the road. The roads are like 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll melt his paws. I get to do a little bit of training, maybe 10 minutes on the side yard, but even that's hot for the ground. And you can see him when I take him outside in the summertime. I mean, God, his tongue's hanging out of his head. It's no fun for training. So there's a period of a few months there where he really doesn't get that much training. Most of it's in the spring, fall, and winter is when the reinforcement's there. And that's what it is. Now I can take Cosmo to an event. I can walk down the sidewalk. Now it's kind of funny. The people will part like the Red Sea, but he just walks and with his head going side to side like a big lion, and he doesn't bother anybody. You know, if a kid walks up to him to pet him, I'll look at the kid and say, please don't touch the dog. And I'll say, sit, and he'll look the other way. He won't even acknowledge that kid. He doesn't care. And that's the way I've trained him. So I'm walking down the street. I get a bunch of dogs trying to attack my dog. They're all going crazy. Kids are going crazy, making these dogs even more excited. Kids don't know any better. And it made no sense for me to walk. It made no sense for me to run. All I could do is have my dog sit and keep an eye on what was going on around me. Now, one dog, I kicked the one dog in the head because he got too close. He was going to bite me. And I kicked him in the head. And then he went yelping off. But those dogs have no discipline whatsoever. They shouldn't be off a leash. And that's all there is to it. That is a situation that's waiting to happen. Now, a lot of people see little dogs and they think little dogs are harmless. Those two white little dogs in that video were terriers. And terriers are known to fight. They use them to kill rats, is what they use terriers for. You know. And they're a beautiful dog for doing that. Because they can get into tight areas. Now, those particular dogs have killed cats in the neighborhood, domestic cats, and they have killed a few groundhogs. And you know when they get on the hunt, they're howling. I mean, it just tears apart the whole neighborhood. I mean, neighbors are running to see what's going on with these dogs. 5, 6 neighbors are running to see. And then you'll see they killed the groundhog. There's no discipline with those dogs whatsoever. My dogs won't do that. But then my dogs don't run loose. And that's the key. But if you own a German Shepherd or you own a big dog and you want to control your dog, okay, you don't go buy the zapper collar and then zap the living shit out of them. You know, stick with using the buzzer and, you know, the beeping sound. It'll work just fine. You'd be surprised when you hit beep how that dog is looking around going like, well, where'd that come from? Why is that? You know, he doesn't really get it. He really doesn't. And then when you got the call collar on and you take that for walking, you'll be amazed. But you do need a second collar. So, you know, you can clip this, the call collar to the collar. So that way if the claw collar comes apart, you've still got the dog attached here where now you can fix the situation. But these are my 3 training aids, and I love them to death. There's nothing I can't teach my dogs to do if I so choose. You know, you hear a lot of people teach their dogs how to speak, give me your paw. My dogs don't know how to do any of that stupid shit. Okay? My dogs are trained to sit, stay, lay down. This is just the very basic commands to walk beside me is what they are. So that's quite impressive. So I'll have the links in the bottom where I bought this stuff. It's on Amazon. A call collar is a little bit more expensive. I forget what this thing costs. But I'll have the links in there and you can be the judge. I really suggest you go buy these, implement them into your training scenario, and then start training your dog. Is what it is. And it works awesome. All right. I'll catch you guys on the next one.